Hello everyone, Will Reaper here. Just wanted to thank you for watching the first of what I hope is many actual video reviews that I'm going to try and do from now on. This first one's going to be on an indie project called Horsemen. Some of you might know I did a brief interview with them probably about a year ago or so. So I got a copy of the game from them and gave it a shot. Basically, Horsemen is an indie game about immigrants struggling in a new land. A topic that seems a little on the nose considering pretty much everything that's going on in this country right now, but they actually handle it really well. And they should, considering that most of the team, from what I learned in the interview, is immigrants, and the story of Four Horsemen is mostly based on actual experience. Of course, it is a visual novel, so a choose-your-own-adventure kind of thing. Players determine their own ending, yada. Well, the beginning seems to have a good dozen options or so at the beginning, or nationalities as it kind of calls them. It's all really the same thing. Otherwise, the story starts the same with some cosmetic changes, like skin color is can be different, cursing's different, and I guess the types of drugs you can use are different. You, on the other hand, spend the game playing as four teenagers who all seem to be varying levels of immigrant. Some fresh off the boat and some actual citizens, I believe. And spend the remainder of the game pretty much doing everything out of an old bomb shelter. Even though all four teenagers seem to have families and homes to go to, but just don't for some reason. I guess I never really figured out what their names were, because depending on what your nationality choice was, the names kept changing. So I just started calling them by their colors. Usually something around the lines of the pink one or the green one. It kind of reminded me of like a really depressing Teletubbies. From that point on, you can basically just stick with a color and just ride out the rest of the game with that. Like I said, I started with pink just because most of that story seems to literally fall into your lap automatically without too much extra work. None of the other paths are really that hard. There was a couple that lost me for various reasons, but not really much. Otherwise, most of the game's just a lot of reading that comes down to teen angst, and which is mind-numbing overall. But it also has a lot of story relating to trying to overcome prejudice and corruption as an immigrant in a foreign environment, which I thought was extremely well done. It was kind of like reading an actual case study on the subject, except it actually had life and a fair amount of swearing. I especially enjoyed how it informs through actual events instead of preaching its message, which is a big turndown. And while I played the game extensively and exhausted every possible path I could, it seemed like there was quite a bit cut short at some point during production, which for a Kickstarter game or an indie game isn't too surprising. But when the player receives a good end for the female characters, they receive some final message that a seal has been broken. While you don't get that for the two male characters. You get a message saying the seal is broken, but it's not like a personalized thing like the female characters. And they're just kind of replaced with more generic endings. Oh, and then, yeah, I mean, it kind of hypes it up like some big thing's supposed to happen when you have all four seals broken. Like you're gonna unlock some super secret ending where you fight the local dictator or something. But yeah, it never happens. And something I noticed from my earlier interview when I was talking to them about their Kickstarter campaign is they had a lot of CG displayed on their Kickstarter that I did not see at all during the game. And that tells me one of two things. Either they lopped it off because they couldn't do it, or ran out of time, or whatever, or it was so far apart from the main story that, or any of the paths, and again, I went through a lot of them, that it just had no place at all. And beyond that, I mean, pretty much all the art, I mean, it's nice and really gives a sense of ambiance, but for the most part, it's just the same half dozen or less smudgy backgrounds. Four Horsemen does try and set itself apart from other your typical visual novels, though, by adding a crafting system, something I find almost every game these days has, ironically. But getting items, kind of, I had this gripe during the Kickstarter, but getting items is still kind of a hassle. Because you either have to work to buy them, which is good, or get some of the specific items which are completely random from the trash, which can take forever. And I mean, it makes sense as far as the concept of the game goes, with having the hard life and everything, but it just makes it hard to, or overly difficult to complete tasks in the game. And frankly, after playing multiple playthroughs, most items are pretty unnecessary anyways. They either add visual to your bunkers, or a few of them actually have points to them to complete tasks and finish certain paths and whatnot. And in playing, I think I found the game might have a few bugs in that respect as well. Because after my first few playthroughs, the game, I don't know, I guess it got harder in a sense. And the first thing I noticed is I got paid less, which was fine, because I knew what I had to buy anyways. But then every single time I played after the first few playthroughs, they would lock the dumpster on me, so I couldn't get any of the specific random items anymore. And I thought it was just a random characteristic, but it literally happened every other time for quite a few playthroughs, and never went back to where I could talk my way out of it or whatnot before. So I don't know if I missed something, but that was kind of a pain in the ass, because it meant I had to use what I already had, which wasn't much. Although in the end it didn't matter too much, because all the paths I still needed, even the paths I already had, I don't think I needed or required anything I couldn't get already. Unlike me, though, you're probably in the game just for the story, since it is a visual novel, and I'm completely insane, apparently. And like I said earlier, the story is pretty phenomenal, and while clearly fictional, gives a pretty realistic view of the difficulties of being an immigrant in a foreign land. So as far as that depiction goes, it's spot on, I would have to say. And really makes you think hard. So thanks for watching my first video review. Like and subscribe if you have any suggestions or other games you want to suggest me looking into. Leave a message or hit me up in the comments below. Have a great day and hope you subscribe.